Alrighty. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Compassionate Citizen. Um, I am one of the hosts today, along with Jennifer A. Whitaker, and we have Alicia Alexander joining us today. Um, I guess I'll pass it over to you, Miss Jennifer. And yet you're on mute.
Well, thank you, Emily. And thank you, everybody, for coming to listen to another episode of Compassionate Citizens. We'd like to today welcome our guest speaker, Ms. Alicia Alexander. And Ms. Alicia, will you start with telling our listeners, what do you do? What kind of business and work do you do?
Well, good afternoon, Emily and Jennifer and your audience. Thank you for having me here this afternoon. My name is Alicia Alexander. I'm originally from the Caribbean. I serve as a workplace retention expert in the state of Rhode Island. Not for the state, but I live in the state of Rhode Island.
Right, okay. And so I looked on your LinkedIn page, and I saw that, if I remember correctly, you started a new company, or there's some kind of business you own that's related to this?
No, if you're talking about the ImageWorks Corporation, that is something that's defunct. It was something that I had 10 years, actually 12 years ago.
Oh, what was this current thing you're doing then? Because what I saw that was current on your LinkedIn looked like it was something that is entrepreneur, self-owned or something.
If you're talking about Make a Difference Consulting, that is
Yes.
my current job.
Okay.
I have two profiles. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Make a Difference Consulting is my current not job but business, and that's the way I serve as a workplace retention expert.
Okay, so how about you tell us about what you do at this organization and what they're about, based on which one you want to be our focus of today?
I'll be glad to. My company is Make a Difference Consulting, and I serve as a workplace retention expert, which means that I come alongside of the business owner, whether it be solopreneur to corporate teams, and help them know their strengths, help them communicate value and appreciation to their team. Um, solopreneurs, we do have teams, which consists of our clientele and the people that help us be successful. Whereas with corporate teams, you have your employees and the people that help you to be successful, like the board of directors. Um, in both cases, we need to be able to communicate value and appreciation to our team to help retain the relationship, because people want to stick around where they feel valued, where they feel appreciated, where they feel welcomed. And my job is to help the business owners show that to their team.
Okay, let's talk more about that. So let's say that, okay, this is true. I am a business owner. So how would you reach out to, let's say, myself or any other business owner that's listening, or even possibly someone who wants to be an entrepreneur? What would you tell them that's the starting point with this and the importance of it?
Well, I have two tools that I use to help the business owner. The first one is called CliftonStrengths. Many people are familiar with CliftonStrengths. It helps them to know what their personal strengths, and it is qualified, which meaning that it has a name for each strength, and there's 34 of them. Um, and it's good to know these qualities because you can leverage your skills in the workplace. Being the founder of your company, or whether you're a staff member, it's good to know your strengths so that you can be able to bring the best out of your best out of your working environment and the best out of yourself. The other tool that I use is called the Five Languages of Appreciation. You might recognize that name through the Five Love Languages. The author of the Five Love Languages partnered with a another doctorate by the name of Paul White, and they took the essence of what the 5 love languages stands for and applied it to the workplace. So, whereas the 5 love languages is based on relationships, romantic relationships, and natural relationships, meaning parent and child, the 5 languages of appreciation is based on work relationships and different, like separate individuals to be able to um, express care and value and appreciation to that person on a language that they understand.
Okay, so is this something that listeners need to hear to know these love languages, or is this a reason finding out all this? Is that the reason they need to call you?
Well, yes, being able to communicate in this work environment that we currently have is tremendous because um, I want to go into talking about the trauma curve, that why many people are reluctant to go back to work.
Right.
Knowing being able to communicate through the 5 languages of appreciation will help to, one, alleviate the trauma curve from going um, through COVID-19, and help them to understand that their bosses do appreciate them and do want them to come back to work. It's up to the boss to engage with their employees to know if it should be a return to work fully remote or hybrid, but at least have the communication. And that's what the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace is going to help them do, be able to communicate in a level that comes to a good understanding for both sides, not just for one side only.
Okay, so let's look at where you see was the problem that had to do with people not going back to work after the lockdown, and what you see that is the solution to that involves you and your organization.
Well, like I addressed the trauma curve from COVID-19, the growth chart, I was doing some research online, and the growth chart showed that the need for employees to return back to work is very high. I don't recall the exact figures, but it's very high. Whereas the desire for the employees to want to go back to work is very low. Um, they're reluctant because of the transactions of the happenings of the COVID-19, and that's what's called the trauma curve. So the trauma curve has created a strong reluctancy to go back to work because of COVID-19, which, I mean, it is substantiated, but it's been a
Do you
couple
mean
of
as
years
in they don't
now.
want to go back because they're fearing of catching the COVID or the pandemic effects?
The pandemic effects. I mean, I read where for instance, AT&T has a good command on what they're proposing for their employees. It's in the news, and it's saying that they're forcing their people to come back to work, which is not not something I will support. But that's one way of handling it. Whereas, if you come to an engagement of the employee, hearing out what the employee has to say, as an employer, um, you have a better chance of coming together and returning to the workforce.
Because in other words, I'm picking up these like the AT&T that's pushing people where they have to come back, that potentially they could lose some of those staff members because of whatever is the reason they're reluctant.
Exactly. And hence the 5 languages of appreciation, it will, as a remedy, help to get rid of some of that fear.
Hmm. Well, and I could understand that because like if I was working at Starbucks or something else where I'm on the front end and I was paying minimum wage before pandemic, and then now I've got to go what I feel like is threatening my life to serve coffee for making minimum wage, yeah, I'd be reluctant too, because I'd feel like I'm taking on a frontline worker job for a minimum wage salary.
Right.
And that's where some people say this fed into our inflation. These fears and all this fear of going back to work is what fed into our inflation, because employers that did those kind of jobs had to start paying a lot higher, which meant that your and my job had to pay higher, and so it just caused inflation.
Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why. Yeah. But at the same time, we can't let fear keep us from making a living.
No, I'm not saying that at all, but I could see some sympathy or empathy in that, in the way I gave.
Yeah.
Like, to understand why what you're talking about, this problem is there. Why those people, have that fear you're talking about.
Right. Right. The trauma curve.
Trauma curve. Good way to put it.
Yeah.
So, let's go on. So what's some other things related to this that you want to tell us? That's how you could get involved and help solve this puzzle of like the gap between people working and not working, but could work, right?
Well, I personally feel that my ability to be a business coach would help alleviate some of that worry from the business owner, because that's what I do.
So you're more human resource then?
Yeah, that's my background. My background.
Okay. So what if there's a some kind of employer? Where should they go, or how should they reach you if they're interested in your services?
Sure. I can be reached at, my telephone number is 401-601-3207, or you can go on my website, which is makeadifferenceconsulting.com. And I have a video there that explains more about what I do.
Okay, and if they go to your website, are you welcoming them to call or text you?
Yes, I am. Please do.
Can you repeat the phone number so Emily can put it on the bottom of the screen like she did this thing?
Sure.
She put your. Go ahead.
My name is Alicia Alexander, and my telephone number is 401-601-3207. My email address is alicia@makeadifferenceconsulting.com, and the website is on display. That's the wrong one.
Okay, so how about Ms. Alexander? How about you move us to the next topic related to what you and your company do?
Well, we specialize in three different areas. Staff retention, which what we just discussed.
Right. What about building staff?
Yes.
Like recruiting and possibly like maintenance that may include like retraining versus needing to be replaced.
No, I don't deal in that. I do it with staff retention, change management, and employee engagement.
Okay. So let's hit all those then. So we started with one. Let's go to the next area of those three main columns that you're under.
Okay, so we talked about the employee engagement, which is the two tools that I use. Staff retention, and we talked about that, and then change management. I've written an article located in the isodc.org summer edition of their magazine. And ISODC stands for International Society for Organizational Change and Development and Change. Let me say that again. International Society for Organization Development and Change.org, ISODC. I have a article in there, a case study, not an article, but a case study about change in non-for-profit and what happens sometimes in the executive offices of a non-for-profit. There's questions that you can ponder on to help you if you're in that kind of a situation where there's change going on in your organization. It's written for a not-for-profit, but it can be used for a for-profit organization as well.
Okay. So, what are some angles you can tell us about how a for-profit could use it versus how a nonprofit could use it?
Well, nonprofit in this article, in this case study that I wrote, there are certain interactions between certain professionals who run a nonprofit. It can be parallel to a for-profit because there are certain things that happen in for-profit organizations that would help to better and change and better the for-profit as well.
So you're saying they're basically like brothers or sisters because what would help one would also help the other.
Yes, in this
Okay.
particular case study.
And how does that apply? Well, we're going over the case study. How does that apply to your who could be listeners, as you never know might be your next market?
I would say that business owners, corporate teams, could be my next clientele.
But how does what you're saying relate to them?
Okay, well, if someone is going through a change situation in their corporate organization, I can assist by helping them. In it will be a long-term engagement, but overall, I have strategies to help them.
To help them in the maintaining staff.
Yes.
And what was the other one we hit on?
Engagement
And engagement.
and staff retention.
Okay, so what's the third one? Engagement, staff retention, and what's the third one?
Change management.
Change management. Okay. When do we know when that's the answer, and who's supposed to make it happen? Since management's usually the higher up.
Well, in a for-profit, it might be the board of directors. It might just be the CEO or the vice president who sees that this is something that needs to be addressed under change management.
Okay.
In a nonprofit, it just may be the executive board or the executive director that sees that something needs to be addressed. It depends on their corporate structure.
Okay. What might they see that says this needs to happen?
What would they see?
Yeah, like behavior or lack of, or like productivity, lack of productivity, etc. Like what are the signs?
Definitely lack of productivity. Just absenteeism. Mostly disengagement on the executive's part as well as on the staff's part. That's usually the first sign, disengagement.
Okay.
Hmm.
Anything else to add? So that was one side of it.
But I think I believe strongly that, if we keep um, staff and executives engaged and aligned to the mission and vision of the corporation that they're serving, a lot of this would be alleviated. But if there's disengagement, if there's absenteeism, if
Mm-hmm.
there is um, missing of goals, missing of I don't want to use the word quota, but missing of goals or misalignment. There's
So
always
you're talking about like they have a goal, it's set, but they did not achieve it.
You're right,
Okay. So the lack of achievement,
right,
to not reach goals versus to not have goals.
right, right. Most often there is a mission and vision in a company, in an
Mm-hmm.
organization. It's just that if someone is aligned to it, if the staff and the executive board is aligned to it, things will run smoothly. If not, there's always where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
So you know,
Okay. What else do we have that has to do with your So I think we hit all three now, right?
yes, we did.
Okay. So is there anything to bring this all together that'd be great for your people to hear in the end?
Well, I want to just say that I know we've all come through a terrible time, and it's now time to start rebuilding. And where I can be assistance to any organization, I'll be glad to. With employee engagement, with change management, with staff retention, and I think we can be stronger than we've ever been before.
Emily, are you aware that you shared your screen? Okay. I'm sorry, Miss Alicia. Will you please return to going?
Return to what?
What you were saying. I'm sorry, we got interrupted. Something happened that made
Okay.
Emily it basically she's sharing her screen. But anyways, would you please go with what you were saying before you interrupted?
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. I was just saying that we could come back better than we've
Great.
ever been
Anyways,
before.
please go with what you were saying before you interrupted.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. I was just
Oh my gosh, that's recorded. Okay, so we're only 23 minutes into this. Do you have anywhere else you'd like to go this discussion, or do you want to transfer it to somebody else, or how would you like to do this, Miss Alicia? You're the main guest, so you're in control.
well. We didn't discuss how long this runs.
We didn't. So let's go to it. Tell us what this is again, and start your telling us about it.
Okay. Well, like I said, I strongly believe that we as a nation and as the American workforce can come back stronger than we've ever been before. I know this pandemic means it's global, but as a nation, we're strong people, and I just truly believe that um, wherever I can put my 2 cents in and help out with employee engagement, change management, and staff retention, I'll be glad to do so.
Okay, is that to uh, entrepreneurs that may open new businesses as well? Like maybe could you help them from the start versus just waiting until they have a problem?
Yeah. The tools that I use, the CliftonStrengths and the language, the 5 languages of appreciation, is not just for a crisis. It's for being able to um, precede any kind of difficulties that may arise. I mean, a lot of times people say, okay, everything's going smoothly, we don't have to do anything. But if you can even precept changes that you don't expect, um, it's always best to do so. You put things in place in order. I like to share that I'm a doctoral student at Grand Canyon University, and one thing that we have as our school thought is called servant leadership. And wherever you can serve your staff to help them be better and be better as their in the roles that they're in as a business owner,
Recording in
that's
progress.
great.
Wait, so you can keep going.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so that's great.
I think we've got somebody that's, I think it might be Kurt, but somebody's still on the Zoom while we're having this on here.
Oh wow.
That's why we keep getting this talking in the background while you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
It was some other app, basically. Even if it's not Zoom, it's something else that somebody else is on.
I'm looking to see if I have anything open that could be causing that problem.
Good idea. Let me see if I do.
Let me close my. I have a couple of windows open. I'm gonna close my LinkedIn. My Zoom's not open. Yeah. Are we safe now?
I would hope so, but Kurt's in the background in addition to Emily. I don't know if you can see Kurt, but he's here where he can hear us, but we can't see him.
Okay.
So that's why I say it could be what he's got going on. I don't know,
Okay.
but it's something going on.
I can't hear him at all, so I'm taking you guys' word for it.
Okay. Okay, so do we have anything else related to your business, its goals, its mission that would help listeners know when they're the type that would work best with you, or they're the type that would benefit from your services?
I enjoy working with SMEs, small and medium enterprises, as well as not for profits. I began my business last year this time, and I was conducting a role with the United Way of Rhode Island, and it turned out to be very successful for everyone involved. Um, and I've had several opportunities to work with non-for-profits, for-profits, and ministries. So I'm a person that's very flexible, and I enjoy making accomplishments happen.
How are we doing on time, Emily?
We can go for a little while longer since we're only.
Okay.
Was it supposed to be a half an hour?
Generally, we try to make the whole thing, the greeting and everything, take about an hour, but
Oh.
Yeah, we came in really late with the different difficulties.
Yeah.
So we've only been going for about 30 minutes now.
Okay. There's one tidbit that I want to share. I was doing some research online not too long ago, and it said 60. I don't think it came from online. I think it came from one of the from the book, but it said 64% um, of the American labor force individuals decide to leave their jobs because of lack of feeling unappreciated. I thought that was kind of high, but we're
Oh, yes,
actually
beyond high.
yeah, but we're actually seeing that take place right now because so many people are reluctant to go back to their jobs. So put that percentage of 64% and what has happened due to COVID-19, and it shows you why we are where we are, you know.
Well,
So
and there's other things to account for with COVID too, because there's also so many people who passed away of COVID. So the people that we could have had in those certain roles in the history may not even be in the world anymore, you know?
truly.
Because we do I remember that when they stopped talking about the pandemic on our local news that we had hit 1 million deaths from COVID itself.
Right.
So, I mean, that was a national number, a local number. That's still a lot of people that could have been different people doing different jobs. That's part of our lack of skill, because
Mm-hmm.
somebody died of it and they were the people that had the skill.
Right. Right. I agree with you.
And then there's other things to account for, like someone I know works for a college, and so she says part of it's also that when we had the lockdowns and stuff, people dropped out of college because they had no ways to pay for tuition.
Mm-hmm.
So then now they've got to find a way to either go back to college or to get a job without going to college, and somehow the whole time keep a roof over their head.
Right. Yep.
So we have people like that where they weren't in college at the time it happened, and because of the interruption, let's say they couldn't stay at their dorm anymore, so now it put them in a position to be homeless or something else.
Mm.
Because you may remember during the lockdown, they did at least have in students that were in dorms, they had to move home.
Yes.
But then there are some students where the dorm is all they have, and they don't really have a home because the parents said, "Well, you're on your own now."
Mm.
So the parents aren't supporting them. So whatever they have at college is all they have, whether it's a dorm
Right.
or it's a apartment.
Right.
So we have other things like that happen. That's where it caused those interruptions from the lockdown did. So maybe some of those students couldn't get back into college because they had to find a way to make their ends meet during the time they couldn't be at their dorm that they had already paid the tuition for via their financial aid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got some of the issues we have with different training where people don't have the skills, well, because it's interrupted.
Right.
Maybe they couldn't get back on track. Maybe they had to then shift their worry to just surviving.
Mm.
And so she's trying to address that with different grants being provided by different major corporations. But still, the idea is we have those that are trained and ready to get in the workforce, but they
Mm-hmm.
have this issue you're talking about that they're reluctant because of whatever fear or lack of appreciation. And then you have these other people that they don't even have the skill because their training was interrupted by the pandemic. So they don't
Right.
get to have the skill. Now they've got to find a way to obtain the skill before they can worry about trying to get their place in the economy.
Yeah. But I think that there are organizations, whether it be not for profit or just, you know, for profit, that can aid in a situation like this. You know.
Well, there are
Uh,
different ones, but a lot of people don't know about those, and they may be the people that are actually in the situation needing it.
mhm.
Like, how many people actually know that Goodwill uh, uses their money to be a nonprofit by paying companies like my tutoring company they used to pay to help students do well in school, so they don't end up being a minimum wage worker. They end up being some kind of skilled person to go into the workforce as a professional of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people wonder how is Goodwill a nonprofit when you go in and you pay for what you get at the store. Most people don't know where that money goes to understand why it's considered a nonprofit.
Right.
So there's things like that that, yeah, everybody may know about the company, but does that mean they understand about what they do and what they
Exactly.
can get from them? No.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's a lot of other things that play into that, like the lack of awareness. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The people that may be donating and have a reason to donate there may know, oh, well, it goes for a good. But even like the Goodwill, most people can't say what good it goes towards besides that the item I give gets sold. Well, where's the money go? Most people ask.
Right.
So I don't just leave it to cook itself. People have to know what are their resources, even when they are those people that are just trying to make ends meet and can't stay in college.
Mm-hmm.
But all
Well,
that to say, we got two different sides coming as to why you're saying this lack of skills in the workforce.
right. But I think that everybody has a part to play,
Definitely.
and if they really want to get that skill, there's always opportunities. There's a lot of not-for-profits that are serving that community that they can get the skill that they need. I'm not saying that I don't have compassion. I'm just saying that if they really want to, they can get it. It's
Okay.
America. It's America.
Yep. Born in America, raised in America, home of the free.
Yeah, absolutely. We're strong. America's strong.
There we go. Do you have anything else to add?
I'm thinking. Um,
How did you get started in what you're doing?
how did I get started in what I do? I went to college, and I just completed my master's degree in 2021. My last class was my capstone class, and I had the opportunity to work with United Way of Rhode Island, um, introducing to them my school's thought of leadership, which is servant leadership, and they introduced to me the CliftonStrengths Strengths Finder assessment, and I had an opportunity to study both and be able to present to them a 10-point PowerPoint presentation and a 25-page handbook on synergizing those two thoughts together. It was designed to better aid the management team so they can help the staff. And that's how I pivoted into my business, Make a Difference Consulting, to that engagement. And it's been really exciting for the last year, because tomorrow is September 1st, which means it's been a year for me to be done with my master's degree, um, which is
Hooray.
thanks, which is great, you know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I really appreciate the fact that I had that opportunity, you know. I don't know. Yes, I started out by saying that I'm an immigrant from Trinidad and Tobago, and one objective that I had was to make my grandfather proud of me, as an mature woman, I'm glad to know that he is proud of me. He is my grandfather. I wanted to follow in his footsteps because he is a businessman who used to have a manufacturing and sales shop when it came to quality furniture. So I've always wanted to be like him as a business person, and now that I have the opportunity, I see what um, what his diligence was all about as I grew up. You know, you have to be really diligent about what you do when you work for yourself. So
Well, it
I
sounds like you might have changed fields the way you put that. Did you used to do some kind of different kind of work before you got your master's, back when you had your bachelor's?
well, when I had my bachelor's, when I worked for I worked to put myself through school, so I was in accounting at that time, the accounting field. I didn't have I didn't have a CPA or anything like that, so I just worked in the accounting field, accounts payable, accounts receivables, stuff like that. Um,
So
but
you're
for
more of a
my
bookkeeper, you would say?
no, more corporate accounting.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I did that to get my bachelor's degree, which I got from Providence College. And I worked for a while and I decided that I wanted to get my master's degree. Um, the nice thing about putting yourself through school, I graduated without debt. So I was grateful for that opportunity. But because I wanted to get my master's degree, I do have debt now.
Right, because master's you can't get free unless it's an employer or somebody willing to pay it out of pocket for you.
Right, exactly, exactly. So I worked in human resources to get my master's degree, and I really appreciate human resources because you can do a world of good for somebody's employment. You know, help them get the job or help them keep their job. And in my business, I like to help somebody keep their job. Uh,
Right.
yeah. So um, I think that the opportunity for me to work in human resources before I got my master's degree has contributed to the success of Make a Difference Consulting. You know?
Well, it definitely helps to understand the back end, the finances and all that when it comes to almost any business, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You and I could agree on that because that's what my bachelor's is in too.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are we doing, Emily?
Um, good. Um, if you're gonna go another like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We can do that. Yeah.
Are you okay though, Miss Alicia? I see you wiping your face.
Yeah, I'm at that age.
Is it allergies?
No, my eyes have a tear duct problem, and so sometimes
Um.
my tears roll
Okay.
off my face, and I don't realize it, or sometimes I'll feel it, and I just wipe my face. So I'm at that age.
Right. Well, see,
Yeah,
I
you're
didn't
not
know
really.
what you meant by that age because I'm thinking, some of us as we get older, we develop allergies, which I did. In that sense, I would be like, I'm totally understanding you. And then there's other things that happen with age. So I'm like, which of those?
So you're not really crying, even though it may sort of look like it.
No, I'm
Right.
not crying. No, I'm not crying. It's just,
No,
the
just like this about you just made me laugh my head off. That's all. You was just that funny, so I had to tear up.
eyes. Absolutely. Yeah, but it's funny when you get older, things happen with your eyes or your legs or something, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm at that age.
Yeah. The simplest thing seems to be the easiest thing to abrupt
Yeah.
or erupt of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like some of the stuff I've been going through. Like I found out there's certain things I've been dealing with for years as new diagnosis, like my IBS-C is actually a side effect of one of my seizure meds that they're weaning me off of right now because I had brain surgery. So they believe that I no longer have the condition, and they're now trying to prove it by weaning me off all the medicines used to treat it. To then hopefully that I still won't have any seizures, and they'll be able to undiagnose me. That's the intended goal.
Oh, good.
But anyways, in that whole thing is where right now I'm at the point where I'm reduced twice of my medication. So I went from originally being on 1,200 milligrams for many years to now I'm down to 600 milligrams, and I'm kind of this. Oh, so I never really had this or that kind of condition. I just had a side effect of a medication all these years. So that's why I've got this going on, and now suddenly I don't have it going on anymore.
Wow. I'm glad.
But mine's kind of the reverse.
Yeah, I'm glad you're getting better. That's great.
Yeah, I found out that even my food allergies, where I couldn't have gluten, soy, milk, and egg, was a side effect of this medication.
Yep.
I didn't technically have an allergy like what we thought, versus it was a side effect of the medicine that caused a sensitivity to certain ingredients.
Okay.
So it's pretty nerdy.
Wow.
But we're all in that like transition in life, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going different directions. We're definitely both in a transition.
Yeah.
I think really.
Are you there, Emily? Because I hear what sounds like you mumbling.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of if I had any other questions for Miss Alicia.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any other questions or anything?
How would you like to leave our listeners when we close this? What would you like them to think about you or want to do in response?
Well, I would like to say if the listener or anyone in the audience is a business owner or part of a corporate team that needs help in change management, employee engagement, or staff retention, I would be glad to help and make, you can hire me. I'd be glad to help out and see your organization come aligned to its mission and vision. I believe that we can accomplish greatness for this country, and part of it is part of the workforce. So I'll be glad to help out. Again, my name is Alicia Alexander. My company is Make a Difference Consulting. I can be reached at 401-601-3207. And my website is makeadifferenceconsulting.com. Thank you, Emily.
You see it too?
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Thank you.
She's great at stuff like that.
Yeah, she's good. Nice. That's been great. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
We appreciate you coming, Miss Alicia Alexandra.
Thank you.
Any announcements or anything, Emily, before we go?
Um, um, I'd like to thank Alicia for coming on today, and also Special thanks to Marcus Hart and the Transform You Media, the Disability Channel, and the PAC Channel for allowing us to be on their platforms. But encourage everybody to go to our check out our social media pages and share, comment, and so on. And we are here every few Wednesdays, so to encourage everybody to tune back in a few weeks at the same time every few Wednesdays of 4 o'clock Eastern. Any other announcements from you, Jennifer?
Yes, I have a new release that has been released as of August 15th. That's called Secret Success, The Evolution of Public Education in the Workforce. You can find it by looking up books by Jennifer A. Whitaker, or you can go on Amazon and search the success, Secret Success, or something related. But the full title is Secret Success, The Evolution of Public Education in the Workforce. It's about the change, similar to what I was talking with Miss Alicia today, that the pandemic has brought on, but mine is through combination of both the educational system and public education, and that's impact into the change we've seen in the current workforce that makes contact with what Alicia and I were talking about today, the changes in the workforce issues. So find out the education side behind it. And then that's for everybody and the listeners. And we thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for listening. Please be sure to subscribe, follow, or like us wherever you find us. And we appreciate your support.
So I guess until next time.
Until next time.
Until next time, everybody stay healthy and stay happy.